Hello, my name is Cameron McKenzie. I'm an applications engineer here at Man & Machine, and today we're going to be looking at the October update to Fusion 360's drawing environment. So today we're mostly going to be looking at the new ability we have to start adding in colors to our drawing environment, but we also have a look at some of the new functionality that brings along with being able to bring in certain design standards or settings essentially from our drawing environment into other drawings as well. Some really handy options we've now got available to us, which I'm hoping you'll appreciate as well during this process. So if we have a look directly inside of the drawing environment, we'll see that in our document settings within our model browser, or our drawing browser in this case, we've now got a few extra options available for our document settings. So they've completely overhauled the document settings panel or the document settings window within this latest update. So from the get-go, we can almost pretty much immediately change a whole lot of settings that would have been a little bit harder rather to change previously. And it just made it that much easier to be able to make those changes directly inside of our document settings over here. So we've got the ability in here to come in and set the default font that we're using, text height, and then we can also immediately see from here what the small, medium, and large text height is going to be based on the options that we've chosen inside of this drop-down. We've also got the ability to change the units of measurement, the line widths, as well as any of the revision history configuration that we want to. So whether we wanted to change the revision from a alphabetic to a numeric, or we can come in and add our own custom revision history setting inside them, and whether the revision scope is just looking at the drawing or at the sheet itself. We've also got the ability to come in and change or visualize rather the standards that are being used in our particular drawing. One of the other options we've now got, as you can see at the top of this window, is we've now got the ability to start making adjustments to the annotations, the view, the hatching, tables, symbols, and even the title block. So if I go over to the annotation tab now, you'll see I've got a whole lot of options that I can come in and adjust for this particular document. So if I wanted to change my dimensions, rather than being a continuous, to rather being a center or a hidden line, I can come in and change those, or I can come in and change the width of the dimensions themselves. So if I wanted a slightly thicker one, we can sort of see a bit of a difference between those. Otherwise, we've got medium, which isn't as visible, and a thin as well. As soon as we hit OK, it will change those. You can see the little OK button then highlights for us, and it will allow us to then change those over. We've also now got the ability to change the color of all of our individual dimensions and annotation objects inside of our environment as well. So all we need to do really is hit the color option over here. And then depending obviously on which system you're using, it will be your operating system's color picker. So if you're using Windows, it'll look like this. If you're using Mac, it'll have the Mac color picker that you'd be able to use inside there. And we can essentially come in and pick any color we want to really to associate to our dimensions. So say for example, I wanted a red for my dimensions, I can hit OK on there. And once I hit OK on this main screen, it'll then update inside of the window there for me. They've also introduced the ability to allow or disallow the gap between our dimension and our part. So if we have a look at the component over here, we've got our dimension above there, and we've got a gap between the actual dimension and the part itself. And if we didn't want a gap, I could say no on there, and it'll then remove that gap, and the dimensions will go right down to the part as a whole. So I'll do that on this one. And we've also got the ability to adjust the line extension, or the edge extensions rather, and again their settings, their colors. We can come in and adjust the labels, we can adjust notes, we can adjust sketches, and we're going to come in and adjust not only the line type and width, but also the color of each of these. If I wanted to, for example, change the visible outer lines of our current view, I can have a different color associated or different thickness associated to the different edges inside of a view. So we can see the visible outer lines. I can make sure that those are thicker than the inner lines. If I wanted the tangent edges to be thinner, hidden lines to be thinner, center lines and center marks, bend centers to be thinner, I can do so from inside here. But I could also then go a step further and change the color associated to each of those. So if I wanted, say for example, a green to be for the outer edges of a component, maybe this darker green over here. And let's say for hidden lines, we wanted a yellowish color. Let's go for something either this yellow here, that might not be as visible. Let's go for a slightly golder color to that. And assign that to our hidden lines. If we wanted to, we could come in and ensure that any of the tangent edges are a different color as well. So let's go for something maybe along the lines of a pink or purple for these ones, just to highlight them ever so slightly more. And you can see we've got the ability to come in and make all of these adjustments from here. We've also got the ability to come in, change the thickness of the hatching and the color of the hatching if we had any hatching colors. And perhaps I wanted to change the color of the table up in the top right over here. Let's say for this is going to be a parts list. So if I go change the parts list, let's go for like a purple-ish color, something like that should be okay. Let's maybe go for something a little more. Yeah, let's go with the first option on that one. And if we wanted to, we've also got then the ability to change the color of the title block. Once more, we've got either the drawing border or the title block itself, so we can change them individually if we wanted a slightly thicker border, but then the title block being a fairly thin one, or vice versa. We've got the ability to have that set over here. So I'm going to go for a slightly thicker border and the fairly thin title block on this one, and I'll have the title block. Let's try to see what color we want to make that. We can make them the same color, maybe one just thicker than the other. Let's go for something that'll be a little bit more stand out-ish. Let's go for almost a whatever type of shade of purple that is. Let's go for something like that. And again, as soon as we hit OK on here, it'll then update our drawing. And we've now got a really colorful part. So this works really, really well, especially for the likes of our shaded parts, where if we want to really highlight the edges of the component to make sure that we can see them a bit better, that you can see the difference between the tangent edges now and the normal edges highlighted inside of the drawing, which I think works really, really well. We've also then now got our dimensions on a different color and the hidden lines on a different color, just so it's a bit more visible as to that. And you can see we've got the ability to add and or pretty much chop and change how we're using those. So we could have certain, or pretty much all of them if we wanted to be the regular black, and if we wanted to highlight certain features on a component, we've got the ability to then add that and change that inside of this particular document. The other benefit we've got to that, if I open up this other untitled drawing over here, this is another drawing I've quickly put together a little earlier. We've got the ability, if we wanted to come in, right click on here and actually import the document settings from previous file. So if I select import document settings over here, I will probably need to save the other one first. Let me just save this one very quickly into a logical location. Let's just go data set. At the top level of the data set, I'm just going to save this file there. And we can then come in and actually import the document from there. So if I go to data set, I've got my wheel assembly, select that, and we should see in a few seconds that brings up all of the different settings we've chosen, all the different color configurations, the thicknesses of the lines. If we had changed any line types, we've got the ability now again to change any of those line types once more if we wanted to. But as soon as I hit OK on here now, it then brings in that exact same configuration. So whether we're using this from a template file or whether it's just a single document and we just want to very quickly make those changes and bring them across. Again, they don't have to be linked. This is just a single import of those. So if we wanted to, for example, change the leaders at any point, I can come in and change the leaders. probably under the annotation labels, if I'm not mistaken. Hop's doing this for the first time. Let me just double check quickly. Put it under table. Balloons, there we go. And let's change this to also a purple to match the some of the purple to match the table itself. Trying to find the best one for this quickly. Something like that should be okay. Yeah, that looks about the same. So if I hit OK on there now, we can see that our balloons match now the table down at the bottom. So if you had other tables in, you could sort of get them to match correctly, and it's just an extra way of being able to visualize certain things. Again, we've got the ability to make changes to each of those as we went along. So this is one of the big changes that's been made inside of the latest update with the drawing environment. There are a few other updates that have been made in the background, especially stability updates in most of the environments. But yeah, for the most part, this is going to be the biggest overhaul in the October release. I hope it's been beneficial for you. If you have found any other really handy bits of information or features inside this update, do feel free to drop a comment, let everybody else know. We can do a video on it if you have any requests going forward. But yeah, thank you so much for your time. Have a great day further.